We need the don't need the mic entry. Second.
No enough for no.
But the problem going now, no,
I can see because that's how we did that.
so that's the mic. So I can put camera on the sky and I did the machine.
Oh, okay, they can see.
Without wasting a lot of time, I know the media houses want to be able to file their stories. We are starting the second segment of the program, where the minister will be delivering the statement and will be taking the questions and answers. But briefly, before we invite the minister to make it a statement, we will invite MEC Mamabulo to just welcome everyone for a few minutes, and we'll invite the minister then to make the statement. I'm advised we're supposed to be playing the national anthem. Please, can you have the national anthem while MEC Mamabulo is making his way? I now invite MEC Mamabulo to welcome us with brief remarks. Over to you, MEC.
Thank you very much, Program Director. And let me take this opportunity on behalf of the provincial government of Gauteng to extend a word of greetings, Happy New Year, compliments. And I'll start with our Honorable Minister. Let me also take the opportunity to greet the CEO of the NEF, and of course the leadership of the taxi industry, the president, and of course the spokesperson of the National Taxi Alliance, Mr. Taiposh and Mr. Malele, respectively. And also to take this opportunity to greet and extend our best regards to all of you here present. And Minister has already conveyed a word of appreciation to our law enforcement and the rest of government. Minister, as the provincial government of Gauteng, we are very much pleased, deeply honored that you have bestowed the privilege of hosting what will remain as a very historic event on the province of Gauteng. You could have taken a decision to take it to another province, but we must thank you, Minister, for bringing it to the province. We feel very, very much honored. This is a very important event. Let me also just take the opportunity, Minister, to thank you. I know that we really thank you. We just think some of these things, as we see them happening, we tend to forget where we're coming from. And I think on behalf of the Gauteng provincial government, I would like to thank you, Minister, and really commend you are still an excellent leadership that today you have brought us to this point. I know personally it was not easy. I know that this was a very difficult process. But the fact that we are here today, we must not lack the capacity to appreciate. I think we should have the courage to appreciate this very important moment. And with those words, I would like to welcome all of you and hope that you are very comfortable at this very beginning of the year. The venue is quite good, and I'm quite sure that everybody is feeling at home. And with those words, Program Director, I would like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to make few remarks at a very historic, memorable, and profound event that will have a long-lasting positive impact on modernizing, on transforming and building the taxi industry, which is the biggest carrier and mode of transport in public transport. Thank you very much. Back to the Program Director.
Thank you very much, MEC, for those warm words of welcome. At this stage, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite the Minister of Transport, Minister Fikile Mbalula, to address you. Over to you, Minister.
Let me start with Zambak. Thank you very much, Program Director. Our host today, Chief Executive Officer of National Empowerment Fund, Ms. Philisiwe Mthethwa. I want to thank you in advance for working with us to deliver on this commitment we made as government for the taxi relief. The leadership of the taxi industry, in particular order of protocol, the president of Santaco, Mr. Philip Taibosh, who's with us here today, the spokesperson of NTA, Mr. Theo Malele, the leadership of business present here that I've seen, that is with us here today, esteemed guests, the media, who without you will not be able to deliver this important message today. Ladies and gentlemen, today we officially launch the disbursement of the Taxi Relief Support Fund meant to ease the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the taxi industry. This is not in itself an answer to all the challenges the industry is facing, which we are grappling with and we are addressing, coming from a very successful taxi industry. What has delayed the disbursement, among others, so that we are very clear from the onset, is because the taxi industry came to me and then raised issues with regard to the conditions we put for the disbursement. And we have addressed all those conditions. You were a leader in this, among others. I need to single you out and your team with your leadership, the chairman of Amazulu. You came to my offices together with Santaco, and then NTA came with a march. And then their march, they were saying all those things that I want to mention today, that included the razor and everything. For the media, please off the record, cutting my testicles with a razor. So please don't put that on record. So the struggle continues, and all the challenges that we need to address will be addressed in terms of the taxi industry. Formalization, regulating the industry, building an economic empowerment model long-lasting for the taxi industry, and also addressing issues of unity. And among others, we've got an eminent persons group that we have appointed to address some of these challenges. Transport is the backbone of the economy, from local public transport to global supply chains. Transport brings opportunities to the poor, and it enables economies to be competitive, links producers to markets, workers to jobs, students to schools, and the sick to hospitals. The loss of revenue during the lockdown for the various transport modes presented an economic challenge as transport operators experienced an unexpected shortfall in their finances. The taxi industry was no exception to this reality. Public transport operations were halted due to both domestic and international travel prohibitions. Public transport operators, among others, faced reduced demand as their operating hours and passenger capacity were restricted. These measures adversely affected the income of both operators and employees operating public transport services. During alert level 5, taxis were prohibited to operate. At alert level 4 and 3, operations were halted with a 70% restriction on carrying capacity. When most sectors of the economy opened up in level 3, demand for public transport remained very low. Almost 20% or more of the taxi industry experienced total loss of income, particularly the long distance and cross-border operators, as a result of the closure of international borders and the exhibition and the prohibition of the interprovincial travel. It is a harsh reality that that transport sector has not escaped the devastation of COVID-19 pandemic, and many people have been left unemployed and struggling to make ends meet. Despite the odds, our people have remained resilient and hopeful that our collective efforts will sufficiently reignite the economy in order for them to put bread on the table. There are a number of relief interventions, except this one, that have been introduced by government. Among others was the 350. Who knew that the 350 was an important intervention to our people? I mean, it is next to nothing. 350. And these were some of the interventions that were in. We are announcing the disbursement of this 1 billion rand plus among many other interventions. It's not only the taxi industry that was affected, hospitality. If you cross the street, you go to Sandton, popular hotel there called Michelangelo is closed. And across the other street, there's another one. People were affected. If you go to the airport, you will see the disaster. This was brought about by COVID-19. We're back now, trying to crawl back into business. And with vaccine, we hope to open up the economy in a big way. But there are people who are basically saying to some of our people in the country that they do not vaccinate. It's not going to help. And yet you compare yourselves with United Kingdom, with United States. United States and United Kingdom, when you see them opening up the stadiums the way they do, is because their communities have fully vaccinated. We have not vaccinated a larger group of our populace, and vaccination is for free. Sustainable economic reconstruction and recovery interventions that support sustainable livelihoods and create new opportunities is a singular commitment that gives impetus to all our intervention. We talk about the social compact with business, labor, and government. Remember, the responsibility to create jobs does not lie with government, it lies with the private sector. Government responsibilities to create an enabling environment to ensure that industries mushroom and they pick up in a big way. And that is what we seek to do in this year going forward. This ex gratia disbursement of relief fund for the taxi industry, we know it's not enough for what the industry has suffered. There are many questions other people ask, and we answer, a relief is a relief, Bantwagit. It's not an answer to problems and challenges that we face. The fact that we have NTA and Santaco, and we have challenges of unity in the industry, that goes back, dates back many years. You would have seen today there when we opened the center there, there's Kaflana already. Kunzima. But I want to thank Ntate Taibosh as a president of Santaco, who consistently remind me about who is Santaco and where do you come from, in terms of the breakup that we've got in the industry with the NTA on its own. I also want to thank Ntate Malele, who has come here and represent NTA. This is your money. It goes to the industry as a whole. And that is what is very important for me. Ningasbulali. It is important, this gesture from us. It's not a resolution to all the challenges that we face. We have a program of action to implement and address a number of challenges that we're facing. Sispili, the CEO of NEF, was saying, hey, Minister, himo bange problem diti ainguwe problem himende kuzisele problem uslelele kamnandi. So it's not a problem. So I want to thank her also, and the NEF as of today in all the 9 provinces from the center that we're at. We're looking at wrapping up this process by March. That industry people need to come up and then come and claim what is due for themselves. Sispili will speak about the details, I think, for the media, about how this money is going to be dispersed. In terms of the detail and so on. We have had a survey that was conducted by State SA. This survey reveals a transport landscape that has shifted from the last survey done in 2013 in a fundamental way. We use these surveys to guide our interventions and allocation of resources such as this responsive disbursement we are doing today. The survey reveals that there's been a general increase in the number of people who use taxis from 9.8 million in 2013 to 11.4 million in 2020. It is also important to note that nationally, we have 7.6% of South Africans who rely on this mode of transport and who believe that the taxis are too expensive. It is equally worth noting that the taxi industry remains the mode of choice for most public transport users, with 80.2% of workers using taxis, which is an increase of 12.6% from 67.7% in 2013. This is the context against which a once-off relief fund to the value of 1.135 billion rand was allocated for the benefit of the taxi industry. The relief funding is intended to mitigate the negative financial impact of COVID-19 on the industry without compensating for the loss of income, but rather based on the principle of an ex gratia payment. Relief is intended for all minibus operators, meter taxis, and e-hailing partners. Reference to e-hailing partners refers to those South Africans who use the e-hailing platform to provide a taxi service and not the corporate entities such as Uber or Bolt. Following engagements with the taxi industry and taking due regard to relevant matters raised by the courts, we therefore gazetted the conditions for operators to qualify for this support on 2nd December 2021. In order to qualify for this support, operators must meet the following requirements. 1, an applicant must be a South African citizen or a permanent resident. 2, they must be in possession of a valid operating license or a receipt as a proof of renewal issued on or before the date of the declaration of the national state of disaster. This is applicable only in instances where the operating license has not been subsequently issued by the relevant provincial regulatory entity. 3, the applicant must be registered with the South African Revenue Services as a taxpayer. We believe that the disbursement process we are launching today is a stepping stone towards the transformation of and formalization of the taxi industry. While this is a once-off ex gratia payment, it is a demonstration of the seriousness with which we take the role of the taxi industry in the broader public transport value chain. Other people in the public discourse were saying, why do you give taxi people any relief because they don't pay tax and all of that? So you are taking our money, you give it to people who don't pay tax. Now, these are ignorant South Africans we live with, and some of them we tweet amongst them on Twitter. They are there. You know, it's like into yokelwa xa uyindoda umuntu ongamaziyo uyatyelwa nje sisirhama somuntu nje uqhuba nawe ungumfazi uyatyelwa indoda yakho ngumuntu ongamaziyo uyabona uyaqhuba nje ningayifaki ke emaphepheni lento ni mute lento endiyithethayo. So it's like uTwitter tatutayibosh uTwitter phakathi kwezibhanqa uyabona nabantu abangakhathaleli into but uyatwitter nje uTwitter umuntu okuthukayo ohleli apha next door uzibiza nje ngegama ongalaziyo. So even them who say that no, but why do you relieve the taxi industry? We have to relieve them, MEC, because the taxi industry is the backbone. It's the only industry we don't support in terms of business relief. We give money. They are going to ask, why are you not giving the bus industry? The bus industry is already beneficiary from government in terms of financial support. We give them money to transport people in and around. And that is why, as a Minister of Transport, I am now reviewing the subsidy for public transport is going to be the first. And part of the relief is going to focus on supporting the taxi industry. You see, the survey says the taxi industry is expensive. That is the survey. Our people are feeling the pinch. But I am going to support the working class for the first time. subsidize the industry, taxi industry, so that the people can use taxis without feeling the pinch, because taxis now will be subsidized. That's what we're going to do when we talk about economic empowerment. So I'm answering them going forward in terms of what we need to do. We anticipate. Okay. Wrong. We anticipate that if we are to reach all eligible operators, calculated on the basis of the 137,000 legal minibus taxis on our system, 25,000 meter taxis, 1,900 cross-border taxis, and approximately 63,188 e-hailing partners. Each operator will qualify for a quantum of 5,000 rand relief. The disbursement of these funds to individual operators will be done, like I said, through the National Empowerment Fund, NEF. We have appointed the NEF as the implementing agent of this process, and they have worked tirelessly to put systems in place to enable the release of funds to thousands of eligible operators. We have just opened, as you would have seen, one of the centers where the disbursement will be done by 65 recruited, trained ex-graduates in our country, unemployed. We will be mending 8, and with this one, 9 centers in the country. We are equally grateful that through this project, the NEF has recruited 65 young people from the ranks of our unemployed graduates who will gain invaluable experience. These young men and women will be assisting operators through the application process and ensure that every person who meets the requirement receives their portion of the fund. The application process of the relief fund is premised on a web-based system, which will be accessed via the department's website. Applications will be completed online by the operator or via the assistance of a call agent. Industry leadership structures, taxi associations, and cooperatives will also play a key role in providing support to their members and disseminating information. The call center is reachable via a toll-free number, and the operators will be able to either call or send an SMS with their identification number. And a call center agent will call the operator to assist telephonically with the online application. I know there are a lot of scams that are out there. They are going to take their chances to try and scam this operation, but we are ready for them. And I hope when we conclude this process, Sispili, we will not be scammed, because by Tata Shame chance, you have won a ticket to go and watch a match in England. You have this and that, and our people fall for those scams. They just fall for scams. Please, don't fall for any scam, taxi operators. Just ensure that you help us to get this money to get to the right people. Today, we therefore open the call center to start taking applications for the relief support fund and disbursement to all qualifying operators. Taxi operators must use the information to begin the application process. Call center toll-free number 0800 201 971. SMS 45864. Let me repeat again. The website you visit is at transport, www.transport.gov. The call center number is toll-free 0800 201 971. SMS 45864. I've given you a call center also for potholes, but you don't report potholes on that call center in order to close them. Niyashwabula nje. Niyandithuka nje cha pha ku Twitter. Instead of reporting potholes, niyashwabula. I've given you, can you post again on Department of Transport? The call center for potholes is different from this one. You see, when you see a pothole, as in Nzimane Joburg, potholes. I saw them myself when I was driving myself last night. Potholes. But I launched a pothole program with the mayor who was removed here in Joburg. But I think the new mayor also, we are working together. Wherever you see a pothole, report it, they will come and close it. Everywhere, even throughout the country. And I've got the Siamba Sonke project to build new roads. And in certain provinces, people have stolen money that was meant to build roads. Abayiki imali hlangomlenze indlela ayipheli, and then kuthukwa mna kuthi kawukhangela umbalula into ayaziyo ku Twitter indlela ziphelile. Yet I've given money, lots of billions of rands, but people are chowing it, and the hawks bapokotele nje balungise ibhrukwe zabo. Ababambi ezizikrelemnqa zitya imali karhulumente. Arrest these thugs. Make an example. Arrest them. Person given a tender and then not implementing. The system for it to show that it is biting. Arrest these criminals. That's what we need to do. Don't wait. Just arrest. Mhlekazi, mvuse kuseni. Dicho elele noba kunkazana or inkazana ilele kumvuse apho. Arrest these criminals. Just ngolela pa ku Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, person demonstrating cars like Floyd Mayweather. Kanti izimoto zobusela. Arrest the bastard. And the cars. Indoda chika ngemoto tatu type Bosch. Ingakwazi explain ukuthi how did he pay for it? Investigate him. This is easy delivery. A person has delivered himself to the state. Diboneni namdi corner. Nice delivery. Nice cars there, delivery. Arrest. He has called for himself to be investigated. Where does he get the money to buy the cars? That's the first investigating point. And now we have the taxi relief fund. Let it not be scammed. I've got also a hotline on potholes and money to build a number of roads, rebuild them, and close the potholes in local government. We launched here with Mwerani, and the new mayor must also build on that with the private sector. Close the potholes in the areas where people live. Our people have lived in potholes for the longest of time in the townships. And we must close them. It's correct. When people make demands, it's correct, we must deliver as government. And have our checks and balances on a row to ensure that where there is no delivery, we are able to ensure that we deliver. So as I conclude, here is the taxi relief fund. It is not an answer to everything, but it's an intervention. So let the operators who qualify come to the fore and claim their money. It will not address all the problems. I hope the operators will share the money with the driver, will share the money with Ngubangobanaba about Ovulavala. Yeah, marshals. Yeah, that is why they will never get things right. Marshals. What a nice term. I'm a marshal at the taxi rank. Not Makeza. What's that? You see, marshal, share that money. It's not enough, but it is for you. But thank you very much. And where there will be inquiries, we will be available. And then Sispili have explained to me that with the Department of Transport, we envisage that this will be closed by March. I'm going to address you also on a whole lot of issues this year. Take driver's license. There are many questions you have about driver's license, but because certain people forget when we address them on these issues, it's important. I'm going to address you on all of those particular issues. Nikhala kakhulu ngePrasa trains. The trains are coming back. Ngevosho ziyabuya. They are going to be running. Big announcements on your way that are coming with regard to trains, and a lot of investment, billions of rands we are spending on the general overhaul contracts at Prasa. A lot of stuff is coming your way. So watch the space. This is the year of delivery. Even though I'm not qualified to declaring yes, it's the president who's qualified. But I'm telling you, from transport is a season of delivery. But thank you very much. And now let me thank the taxi industry for your industry and continuing to work with me as we navigate through the space. Let me thank Jacob Mamabulu, even though it's like thanking a fish for swimming. But you are a good fish, Jacob Mamabulu, as the MEC. You are a very, very good fish. I don't know whether you are a fly fish or what, but you are a very good fish. As my colleague, transport is a concurrent function. It's not like police, where the order comes from above and is the same downwards. Transport, you must go and consult a mayor with small trousers somewhere. Now violate potholes. And then go and consult a lady nicely dressed as a mayor. Hey, why do you build a stadium with 15 million? But this thing doesn't look like 15 million. You must go and consult, okay? And then you must go and consult a nice MEC like Mamabulu, flying like flying fish. MEC, close the potholes. Where did the money go that I'm giving you? And all of that. And then Mina, I'm here with Sandra. Uyabona mosinto zami ngeSandra lizipashasha. The roads with Sandra with me, Razmataz, they are #1. The problem is Kala Park with Fly Eagle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Minister, for the statement. We are getting to the next segment of the briefing, where we should take your question and answers, but also as part of that process, the CEO will also give us insight in terms of the technical details of the work that NEF will be doing to ensure that the money is indeed dispersed by the end of the financial year, as the minister had indicated. But I think the approach CEO would rather deal with the nuances, perhaps maybe before I take questions from the media, you could just reflect on some of the highlights in relation to the technical issues, so that we can preempt the question, so that we don't spend a lot of time. Can you do it in that manner? Because we wouldn't want to have another speech after the minister's statement.
Okay. That's a speech. Thanks.
Thank you, Program Director. Good day, good afternoon, Honorable Minister Fikile Mbalula, Honorable MEC for Transport in Gauteng, Mr. Jacob Mambabulo, all the presidents of the various taxi associations, the esteemed leadership of the taxi industry, Santaco and NTA, members of the media, distinguished guests, seasons, greetings on behalf of the National Empowerment Fund, the NEF. We are delighted that this day has arrived so that we may begin the implementation of the Taxi Relief Fund. The energy, dedication, and focus demonstrated by the project team, comprising officials from the Department of Transport and the NEF, was powered by the single-minded commitment to honor an industry that has been at the heart of building the South African economy for decades. So Minister Mbalula has already covered quite a number of other areas that I would have wanted to look at. So protocol doesn't allow me to do that, but maybe just to highlight some of the technical aspects of the work that we've been doing, just to mention that this responsibility was given to us by the Department of Transport and the Minister. It was in May of this year, and we have been hard at work, from that time up until now. Just on the technical aspects, Minister, so we are saying to carry out this important task, the NEF in collaboration with the DOT has established a call center, and we have also upgraded our IT systems to ensure seamless implementation of the project. NEF assistance, ladies and gentlemen, starts when the operator requires assistance with the application process. One, the operator can SMS their ID number to the number that was also shared by the minister. The number that they can SMS their details to is 45864, 45864, or make contact with the call center on the toll-free number 0860-201-971, 0860-201-971. The call center agents can also assist callers in their preferred language. So you can get information. The taxi operators will be able to communicate in all the 9 official languages in the country. If one has sent an SMS, an agent will call on the number used to send the SMS. All calls will be recorded for quality purposes. So any people who will be thinking about committing some fraudulent claims, I have to say now that the police, also there they are listening, will just call the police to sensitize them to, to those fraudulent activities. A consent questionnaire will be completed for security purposes. The application will be completed by the agent on behalf of the applicant. Whilst completing the application, the system will indicate a green tick if the operating license is valid. So please don't just go and think about creating a lot of licenses because you'll be caught out. The call center agent will advise the applicant to email supporting documents to taxi relief documents at dot.gov.za, taxi relief documents at dot.gov.za to complete the application. An SMS will then be sent to the applicant upon capturing the application, and then the NEF will then continue with two verification levels as follows: is the checking of completeness and correctness of the application form. So if the application form has any errors, the young graduates that you have all met today will be able to interact with the taxi operators. They would also ensure that any possible duplications are weeded out, because we'll pick it up from the ID document and the licenses. We'll also ensure that the license is linked to the ID number of the particular operator or applicant. We'll also check the taxi operator licenses. We'll also perform a FICA verification on each taxi operator and check the stamped bank letter. So once the above is done, the system will send an SMS to the applicant advising if there are documents needed in order to complete the process or that application has been approved. So I think, Minister, ladies and gentlemen, the process is we've tried to simplify it as much as we can, and also to allow for that interactive, engagements with our various, taxi, operators and agents that we have employed. But just briefly, Minister, I just wanted to touch on this in 2 minutes before I close my presentation. So the NEF is an entity of government that was established to support Black-owned enterprises. We provide both financial and non-financial support to those Black-owned enterprises. And to date, we are actually pleased to, to inform you that we have actually supported more than 1,000 Black-owned and managed companies in all the key sectors of the economy. We support businesses that are involved in transport, in agro-processing, in tourism, in the property sector, in the automobile industry, in energy. You just name all the key sectors of the economy. And to date, we have been able to actually approve transactions that are worth more than 9 billion rands. All of that money has gone to Black-owned and managed companies. So by that, we mean, the shareholding, Black ownership in those particular entities has to be 51% or above. And I'm also pleased, even though I was the only woman in the podium, to also inform you that 40% of our funding has actually gone to enterprises that are owned and managed by Black women. So that is also, so in this sector, Minister, we're seeing another opportunity. So I'll just talk about our dream. So we believe that as NEF, there is merit in the possibility of one day manufacturing a South African minibus taxi, South African made. Because indeed there's a market both locally and across sub-Saharan Africa as the continent drives towards growth and development. So you've been in Europe, you've been in the US, you've been in Asia. We're the only people who are making use of these taxis. They don't exist in other parts of the world. But what is really sad about this situation is that we don't have an African brand. So I'm not saying we should now get rid of all the other OEMs that we have within the automobile industry. I think we have about 8 or 9 now with BAIC, which is an OEM from China. So we're saying to the Black entrepreneurs out there, let's think about this. We need some good news, within this particular, industry, especially insofar as we'll be providing support to Black-owned enterprises. So that is our wish, Minister, maybe in partnership with the Department of Transport, because we have young engineers at the NEF who actually, they conceptualize projects from scratch. So you don't have to come up with this concept on your own, because we will be working alongside that particular company. So even if it takes us another 5 years, I think we would have achieved our objectives. So also, Minister, and especially the presidents and the presidents of the various taxi associations. The other issue that has really been, boggling our minds as NEF, it pertains to the financing of the taxis in South Africa. So it's something that, Minister, we need to look into, because if you look at the terms and the conditions that are attached to those financing mechanisms or financing arrangements, it's very, very sad. It takes, if we had a fund, it could be managed by, it doesn't have to be NEF, we're just raising this as an issue. It could be a fund. We could potentially end up funding, taxis at prime +2 or +3. But at the moment, I'm sure the presidents will agree with me. When you look at the financing mechanisms around, the financial support that has been given to the taxi industry, it's prime +8 or sometimes prime +10. So it takes years before the taxi operators can actually say that they have equity and that they fully own that particular taxi. I will just close with those few words. Thank you.
Just to answer that question, our empowerment model is interrogating that very question. Sis Pili. So you are duly invited to make a contribution to that. Remember, we are dealing with empowerment, economic empowerment model, and reimagining the recapitalization of the taxi industry. And that is what we are dealing with at DOT at the present moment as we speak. When we talk formalization, we don't talk formalization outside the conceptualization of the empowerment model for the taxi industry. And that's what we're dealing with. So we are very happy to be your partner in this, and also benefit from your ideas in terms of this. Like I said, we've got different working groups because I think the taxi industry have gotten a raw deal, but they are themselves to be blamed because they've got to be united in terms of this. We will be happy to become the delivery leader in terms of what needs to happen. And I think we have an opportunity now going forward to deal with these particular matters. The problem we have had in South Africa is the tap and the Leipzig way. It's ad hoc. We deal with these matters ad hoc. Somebody comes and then makes a lot of noise, and then they are relieved. And then somebody again come. If you talk to President Taibosh and you listen to him and where we went in terms of unity of the industry to the emergence of Santaco and all of that, you will realize that somewhere down the line, there is about 10 years or a decade that has been lost in between. And they are aging even themselves. They are going to retirement soon. But the things are going to be left to young people like ourselves. You can see me, I'm very young, to basically finish the race. We've got to finish and cross the finishing line and deliver on this. And like you say, we are the only brand in the whole of the world which has got minibus taxis. Nobody else has got. And we are over and above 40 billion industry into our economy. And yet it doesn't benefit our people. You talk relief. I mean, these people owe these minibus taxis. So I think the characterization, you've got it properly. And these are the issues we're dealing with, and hope this year we conclude. As we conclude the relief fund by March, we should have concluded on a whole range of issues that are going to benefit the taxi industry economically going forward.
Thank you, Minister. Ladies and gentlemen of the media, I will now allow you to ask questions. When you ask a question, please introduce yourself, your name, and the media house you represent. One, number two. In any other hands? Three. We'll start with the three hands that we have. ENC, start with you.
Maybe on the conditions, it would be strict, especially on this condition of that the tax owners must be registered to SARS as taxpayers. I think you said it yourself that a lot of them don't pay tax. How would you be then strict on that particular condition? And maybe just for you and the taxi industry as well, just to find out what has changed. Like to understand, there's been protests, there's been even threats to some cutting some of your body parts over this amount that you gave, this 1 billion rand initially some year, and this 5,000 rand to the particular tax owners. What has now changed? What has made them now accept this latest offer? And then also maybe an update on the licensing card machines. When will they be fixed? Minister, they've been down for months now. And I read somewhere that there's only one licensed card machine. Why is there only one licensed card machine? And maybe also better expenditure on subsidizing the industry. What are your plans around that?
Leon Kintani from Business Day. I think I'm partially covered by my colleague on the first question. So I just wanted to find out exactly who bent over backwards on the conditions. Is it you or the taxi industry bosses? Because I mean, they were really vehemently opposed to the amount, saying that it's a drop in the ocean, and also the conditions that my colleague has alluded to. And also, I mean, on the issue of the NEF replacing SARS as the implementing agency, what are the reasons for that? And lastly, on the financial support, I mean, you mentioned last year already that the deadline for a taxi subsidy is April 2021. So how far are you with that process, and what are some of the bottlenecks that you have encountered? Thank you.
Hello, Roy Kane from MoneyWeb. This is a question for the Minister. It relates to the questions of subsidies for the taxi industry. If you can comment on whether a formal decision, an official decision has been taken on subsidizing the taxi industry. I can recall many years back at the South African Transport Conference when Jeff Radebe was still the Minister of Transport, that he made a commitment that the taxi industry would be subsidized. Subsequent to that, there were a lot of changes where the move was towards actually subsidizing commuters. I don't know where that's gone to, and if you could just comment on those aspects. Thank you.
Let me start with the conditions. The first condition was that taxi industry, they pay, when you purchase a vehicle, you pay VAT. And the conditions that were coming with this were saying that you must then formalize, which is what we are dealing with as we speak. And in terms of those conditions that were very stringent, in that regard, we have addressed that. And everybody should be in a position to prove that the vehicle that you own, you did pay VAT on it. So it's not a problem. It's not a big challenge, which is what a relief in any event seeks to achieve. On the issue of the subsidy, we are dealing with the matter in terms of taxi subsidy, particularly to the commuter. As you will know that I've quoted specifically the survey that was conducted by Stat SA, funded by the Department of Transport, which has revealed that the taxi industry is a burden, particularly for the poor households. It's very expensive. So we've got to intervene there. At the present moment, we are subsidizing the buses, and the trains also is a form of intervention of relief, particularly for the working class. So in this particular instance, we will be, which is what we're doing now, reviewing the subsidy arrangement in the Republic as we speak, and then it is now going to cater for the taxi industry. We wanted to do that by the financial years last year. We are dealing with this so that we are able to meet the deadlines, which is April 2021. That is why I'm saying that the bus industry is not catered for, because we are subsidizing the bus industry as we speak at the present moment. The taxi industry, we are intervening precisely because they were mostly affected, hard hit, and at the same time, not a subsidized industry in South Africa as we speak. It will never be enough for anyone. It has never been enough for anything. The same as 350 is not enough for the poor person in the township who's unemployed. But over about 10 million people have benefited from that. It will never be enough for the industry. This relief is not meant to resolve industry challenges. I've explained that. It's not meant to do that. It's ex gratia. It means it is something that you do, but you are not bound. And we thank the industry for their contribution, because they themselves had to agree with the conditions. That's why I don't understand when people rebel and say all sorts of things. You're talking taxi industry, you've got another industry of arts, you've got another industry of hospitality. People could not make ends meet. A guy who has not been a burden to the state, all of a sudden is a burden. He has lived out of singing. You see, singing songs. Sis Peter, I'm not saying this because you are here, you are married to Nati, so I'm just saying this as my colleague. People have complained that no, these people are not a burden. They organize gigs, they produce music, but all of a sudden they became a burden because we had conditions to close down on numbers of people going to gigs and all of that. And out of their music, they were able to earn a living. And that is why we had a relief. Even there, it was not enough. Even this one, for the taxi industry, it will not be enough, Comrade Jacob. It will not be enough. President of Santago, spokesperson of NTA, it is not going to be enough. But we've got long-term objectives of what we're doing as a country. Like Sis Pili was saying that, and I answered that question, I said that we are reimagining what must happen even with recapitalization, economic empowerment model that is sustainable for this industry. The biggest black industry that we've got, 40+ billion injection into the economy. And we've got to have something to show for it. The other question about the driver's license, I'm going to address you on that. People are just raising issues that the machine that produces driver's licenses is the old machine. It's coming from Germany. No other country in the world is still using that machine. That is why we are producing a new card. It's gonna be a new card, a new machine, which is at par with the developed world. Why did we take so much time and all of that? Look, when it happened, I was not here. I can only answer for when I'm here, right? We should have long changed this, but nonetheless, we're changing it in the 6th administration. And I'm not gonna say that the previous ministers were sleeping on the job. They were not. I'm doing away with that old machine. And the only thing that we had is that whilst we are dealing away with that machine, it got an accident. And there is COVID-19, the machine must be taken to be repaired in Germany. Can you imagine? When will it? It has been fixed as we speak. We have already shipped it to Germany. It's been fixed. But in the interim, we will introduce the new measures of what will actually happen. But over and above that, I'm introducing a new card that doesn't need to go to Germany to be fixed. Okay? That's what I'm doing. Now, where is the hurdle? I'm supposed to go to cabinet. First cabinet now, when it sits this year, I will be on the door of cabinet, presenting to cabinet the new machine. I'm done with the security features with SSA. It's done. It's on the door. So once cabinet approves that, new machines are going to come. Now, we have looked at a whole lot of things. Remember, Malusi introduced at Home Affairs the Smart ID. In terms of that, we looked at why can't we put in the card? The features do not allow. So the experts, in terms of the development of the new card, found that the new technology that goes with the new card, which is a security question again, will not be accommodated in the Home Affairs Smart ID card. Okay, so we are dealing with that. We are far advanced. It's just that the accident that happened on the machine caught us napping whilst we are dealing with the new card. But many countries, we are about 13 countries that had that machine. They are no longer using that machine. So that is why our service provider, which are the Germans, that is where the machine is being fixed. So we're not looking at that machine as a permanent feature. I'm going to answer you. I've got a beautiful model here in Gauteng. That's why I was saying, maybe you thought I was saying Jacob because I just like him as a colleague. So we've got two models that we're running in Gauteng, which is Waterfall. Go and fix your license there. You won't even spend 30 minutes inside. Waterfall and where? And Centurion. That is the model we want to replicate the whole country. We don't want those crooks from Langlaagte and everywhere else. When those are crooks, man. I've heard about that Langlaagte story long before I was even Minister of Transport. We must do away with that. We want stuff like Waterfall. When you get to Waterfall, you feel like you are in South Africa. It must not be a stress to get a driver's license. Hey, it's a problem. My child doesn't have a driver's license. When you finish school, that is the vision we're going to. You must have your driver's license when you finish school in the next 10 years in the Republic. Policy-wise, I can't speak because these things must be processed. I will be ahead of time if I talk about policy review in terms of the driver's license regime. But we are looking at that. Should we align it to 5 years or 10 years and so on? We're looking at those options. Again, we need to go back to cabinet and review that. But I'm going to resolve your problems. With driver's license, you are going to have beautiful country, no driver's license hurdles by the end of this year. And I'm doing away with those crooks from Langlaagte and everywhere else where they are giving you a headache when you have to get your license. And then where is the future? The future is Waterfall. That's where we are going. So that everywhere where you get the license, renewal of the driver's license. And I can bet you that by March this year, with the speed and the efficiency we have employed to address the backlog of driver's license renewal, there's no doubt that we'll beat the deadline of March that we have set for everybody. The only problem I've got is these Germans, machines and so on. So what is the other question that I'm missing that you asked? Huh?
The times of Jeff Adler, I think. Roy, can you just repeat the other question?
Subsidy. Yeah, and Roy, don't misquote me about e-tolls again. I'm coming with e-tolls this year. Okay, all right. Yeah, I can see you've got your machine. But I'm coming with e-tolls. I've made a commitment with the Minister of Finance. February, I'm resolving your e-tolls issue. Okay. Don't clap first. You don't know what I'm coming with. You will clap when I announce with Enoch. Please, MEC. But February, I'm coming. If that minister is giving me trouble, I'm going to tell you that the problem is with finance. It's a treasury. But I've made a commitment with him that come February, your e-toll issue, you will know where we stand. For February, we have a president. Yeah, but when does it affect him, e-tolls? Taxi industry. They don't affect you, e-tolls, ne? Okay, all right. Okay. So, but e-tolls, I'm coming. February, even before February, you will know what all the people who are reported at the state capture in terms of my entities, Hakamatorogis. I've got some already in the first report at AXA. I've written to AXA board to resolve those people because Barry White, sorry, the judge have already given me a report that those people must be prosecuted. No, don't quote me on that one. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And we want to thank you very much for your participation. And I know you have deadlines to chase for your stories. Thank you so much.
Colleagues, there is lunch which is being provided, and I'm told we have to use the door on your left-hand side, this side. So that's where, okay. There is somebody who's then give you the right information.
Good afternoon, colleagues.
Colleagues, can you please firstly allow, colleagues, can you please listen to the announcements? Let's please first allow the political